You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now back to your hosts, Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
Back here on the program, we have a special guest. He's entering his third season as the head football coach at UVA-Wise. Go to UVA-WiseFootballCamps.com. Beginning next Sunday, May the 6th in Richmond, they have a prospect camp. Monday, May the 7th, right here in the 757 at Norfolk Christian at 5 p.m. And also Wednesday, May the 9th in Stafford and Thursday, May the 10th in the Roanoke Valley area. Cost is just $30. Again, UVA-WiseFootballCamps.com. And we say good morning to Coach Dave Damron. Coach, how you doing out there?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on the program. And let's start there, and we'll get more into your background here in a second. But tell us a bit more about the design and purpose of these prospect camps and how they came about.
Well, I don't know per NCAA rules how much I'm allowed to talk about all that, but I can just say that our camps are, they're very important to us where we are in Southwest Virginia. It's hard for kids from all across the Commonwealth to get to our campus, and so we think it's very important that we're doing our very best to get out in the Commonwealth and plant the UVA-Wise flag.
Certainly, and in your first season, you guided them to 6 victories in the program's first winning campaign since 2009. So fill everyone in more on your background, playing, coaching, leading us up to your situation there at UVA-Wise.
Yeah, I'm from the state of Kentucky. I'm from northeastern Kentucky, which is about a little town called Grayson, which is about 2.5 hours up Route 23 from Wise. So I've been very familiar with Wise my whole life, but as a collegian, I played at Georgetown College and NAIA school in Georgetown, Kentucky. Had the good fortune of being the quarterback on a national championship team in 1991. And then after that, I went back home to my high school and coached, and then I got a phone call one day from Coach Roy Kidd from Eastern Kentucky University, who's one of the winningest coaches in FCS history, and he called and offered me a graduate assistant's job. And so for 2 years, I was a graduate assistant at Eastern Kentucky University, and then strange thing happened. I met this fine young lady and fell in love and moved to Florida. I coached high school football in the state of Florida for 5 years. Then I moved back to Kentucky and had a high school job in Kentucky, and then started a small college program at Kentucky Christian University in my hometown of Grayson, where my father was the basketball coach there, won 400 games and won 4 national championships as a basketball coach. And then I had the chance to go back to Eastern Kentucky University and work there 2 years as a special teams coordinator. And then my last 5 years there, I was the offensive coordinator. And then, as fortune would have us, sometimes the administrations and the powers to be think they need to make a change. And so they made a change with our staff. But I was blessed to be able to get the UVA-Wise job in January of 2016, started there, and been there the last 2 years.
Dane, this is Ed Young. Varied background, a lot of moving around. That falling in love really got you because you went from Kentucky, the hills of Kentucky, Virginia, all the way down to the Sunshine State of Florida. So that was a different move for you.
Yeah, that was a different move. Like I said, I remember my sister called me one time and said, I've met your future wife. I said, well, Amy, that's really great, but you live in Florida, so that means she lives in Florida, and I live in Kentucky, and I'm not moving to Florida. But fate would have it that she ended up being my wife, and so I moved to Florida and had a chance to be an offensive coordinator down there at a high school for 2 years, and then I got my first head coaching job in 1999 at the ripe age of 25 years old. And, had a chance to build a program down there for 3 years, but for some reason, I still to this day don't know why I do it, other than that's probably what I was supposed to do. I left all those athletes in Florida to move back to northeastern Kentucky and coach high school football.
Well, you ended up at UVA-Wise, and of course we know we always joke about in this area that you can probably get to New York City and have a burger and rest, but by the time you get to Wise, Virginia, we're leaving from Hampton Roads, it's a long way out there. But obviously, it's also an area where, as you say, you want to get out and about with your satellite camps to be able to have people know who you are. Tell us about now Division I, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really up on the rules in football. I don't think Division I is allowed to do those camps anymore, satellite camps, if that's correct. But Division II and III are?
Yeah, the Division I rule has changed so much. So I don't I don't have any idea what their rules are anymore. It was definitely a transition go from Division I to Division II because the rules are so much different.
Yes.
But this is something that we researched. We wanted to do it last year, but we kind of got on it too late, and then we just kept talking about it. And so, this is something that we decided that we needed to do because, like I said, there's good football in our home territory in Southwest Virginia. It's just the population base isn't huge. And for us to build the program that we want to build, we realize that we've got to be able to be at the 757 and be in the 804 and be in the Northern Virginia area. And so that's something that's paramount to the success of our program. And so we're going to find every way that we possibly can to get into those areas.
Now, Dane, everybody's familiar with Division I, full rides, big rosters, all that stuff, everybody's dream. I've always contended that, most of the kids, we got a good area here, 757 in all sports, but most of our kids, let's be realistic, probably kids all over the place, Division II, Division III is for them. NAI, it's for them. But some of them don't want to realize that. Some parents don't want to realize that. Tell us a little bit about what Division II offers in terms of what you're allowed to give out, in terms of scholarships. Is there a roster limit? The major differences.
There's no roster limit. I tell people all the time, our roster limit is the number of lockers we have in our locker room. And so, it's very important that kids understand because, I don't know the statistics there, Coach, but I know that, less than 2 or 3% of all high school athletes get the chance to play collegiate sports at any level. And so I think a lot of kids pigeonhole themselves that I'm a Division I player, and I understand that. When I was coming out of East Carter High School in 1990, I wanted to play at the University of Kentucky, but, that I didn't have that opportunity. I wasn't good enough. But, Georgetown College and NAIA program offered me that opportunity, and it's the best decision, athletically than I've ever made because it's set me up to doing what I'm doing right now. And, I feel the same way about Division II. We have very few kids, if any, that are on full scholarships, but we're able to supplement kids' financial packages with athletic money because we take their Pell Grant money. We take any money that the state of Virginia, that the Commonwealth of Virginia allows you to put towards your education, and we're able to put together really good packages for what we're doing. Because in-state tuition for a kid from the state of Virginia is, it's just right around $20,000. So we put $5,000 or $6,000 into a young man, and they're able to put their Pell Grants. They're usually at zero balance.
We're chatting with Dane Damron. He's the head football coach at UVA-Wise, entering his third season. And in year one, he led them to 6 victories, program's first winning record since 2009. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. I look at your roster, Coach. I see Darius Jones and Joe Addison from Phoebus, Marquise Bramer out of Nansemond River, Victor Mitchell from Kickintan, a couple of Virginia Beach linemen such as Zach Cannon and Donovan Lynch, Micah Brown from Churchland and Portsmouth, plus a linebacker out of Chesapeake and Chris White from Oscar Smith. So about 8 guys from the 757, even though you're about 7 hours away, not just this is for face, you guys really are recruiting the whole state.
Yeah, we have to. That makes our dollar stretch further. And, like as we've talked, growing up in Kentucky and then being a high school football coach in Florida, there's no question that Florida has great talent. But even when I was coaching football in Florida, you always heard about the talent in the Tidewater, Virginia Beach area there. And so that was something that always interested me. And when I got this job, that's something we said we've got to be able to go there and get the kids. We know we're not going to get them all because we understand that 8 hours is 8 hours. But to me, time is just distance is just time, and you're going to have to do that. Kids don't have any trouble if they get a big time scholarship of going, out to Missouri or Colorado or California. They don't care to do that, So it's just an 8 hour drive, but we're going to make sure that we're going to plant our flag there and do the very best we can because I believe in this past recruiting class, I think we signed 5 kids from the beach area and from the Richmond area. I think we got 9 kids, and so that's places we know that we got to recruit if we want to win.
You've got an interesting coaching staff, too, which includes a former Super Bowl champion offensive lineman on it in Mike Compton. I know we don't have enough time to go through all of your assistants, but tell us some about them.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate, to be able to hire good staff. Our university has allowed me to do that. My defensive coordinator, Shap Boyd, is one that has bounced around. He's been a Division III, a 1AA coach, actually grew up a little bit in Northern Virginia. He's very familiar with that area. And then, as you mentioned, Coach Compton, not very many people can say that they've got a 2-time Super Bowl champion as their offensive line coach. And I think the great thing about Coach Compton is you would never know that. He doesn't ever talk about it. he's as humble as a man as there is, and he does such a great job coaching our offensive line. Offensive coordinator is Clay Coster. He was with me at Eastern Kentucky University, and he's the one that, that recruits the beach area for us, and he's got a passion for recruiting and does a great job. Chris Cunningham's my linebacker coach. He's brand new. We just hired him. He was a student assistant, a player, and a graduate assistant for us at Eastern Kentucky, and he's had a chance to bounce around a little bit. Nick Rosser is my cornerback coach. He played at James Madison, so he's from the Northern Virginia area. And so that's been a great hire there. And then my recruiting coordinator is Jason Wilson. He's from down south in Alabama, but he's worked for Nick Saban there at Alabama in their recruiting department. So he's laid a great plan for what we're trying to get accomplished recruiting.
Now, Dan, again, since we're talking about your coaches and your course, everybody has different parts of the state they cover and areas that they're probably pretty keen in. What's your philosophy on recruiting when you get a player? In terms of bringing them there to UVA-Wise, what are you looking for? I know it's quality, definitely want quality. Is it numbers too, and we see what happens, or is it based strictly on need or the opportunity? Hey, who's available, who likes us, and then we can make that work.
Well, it's really all the above. Of course, you're gonna plot out a plan for what you're going to need in the next year. When we're out recruiting, we're really trying to recruit to fill the junior class that we have, because that's when you would think that those kids are really going to be able to be big time players for you. We recruit freshmen to come in and play. I worked with a man a long time ago that gave me a great philosophy. Is the first thing you want to do every year is build your team. You want to give yourself a chance to win every single year. So if a freshman has a chance to come in and play for us, we want to play. But if they can't do that, we're going to try to build the program second. And get these kids in the weight room, kids that don't dress for us or are redshirting, they get 4 days a week during the season lifting, so we're really going to try to develop that. But the first thing we're going to look for, of course, is character. That's very important. They've got to be able to play a little bit, for us to dive in their character, because if we don't think that they can come and help us win, we're probably not going to recruit them. But, we're going to look for length and speed. I think that's college football today. I tell our coaches all the time, we're recruiting length and speed trumps length, because we want to be able to be fast and do some things there. But our area coaches, we've got the whole Commonwealth of Virginia is covered. Each one of my coaches have an area in the state of Virginia that they're going to recruit. And so the area coaches is the very first one. They're going to do the legwork. They're going to talk to the high school coach, and they're going to do their very best. And basically, they're just going to, if you're the quarterback coach, but you're recruiting an area and you've got an offensive line, you're going to preview that and just look at that to see if you think he's worthy. And we tell them, if you even think the slightest chance they can play, you pass it on, and then that'll go to the position coach, and the position coach is the one that's going to do the big time evaluation. But not only that, we're going to send it to the staff, and then the staff is going to take a look at it. And then once the position coach and once the staff makes a decision, then it's going to come to me for a chance to yes or no. If it's a kid that that could be borderline, or I'm seeing something that they different than they may see, we'll mark that as discussed, and then we'll sit down as a whole staff and look at it.
Coach, we're running short on time. Look forward to seeing you on Monday, May the 7th. But before we let you go, and we look forward to getting you on the program again, so much now is about exposure, it seems. And sometimes players can be overexposed, underexposed, what have you. But what is the advice you would give a parent or a player out there who wants to be a college football player as a head coach at the Division II level? What would be the things you would tell them?
Well, the first thing that I would say is I'm very selfish, and I want all the great players to come to UVA-Wise. But I understand that that's not going to happen. And if a kid really, truly wants to play Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA football, junior college football, it doesn't matter. There's a whole lot of football out there to play for a young man at the next level. Of course, it sounds like a recording, but they got to make sure they're getting it done in the classroom first, because a whole lot of kids think that they want to do something. You look at their transcripts, they got a 1.8 and 14 on their ACT. Well, that's not going to cut it to play NCAA football. But the key thing is just get out and get exposed, because I think a lot of kids have this grand delusion that they're going to play at a Division I school, and so they go to all these Division I camps, and they're not having an honest look. And so whether it's us or whether it's other Division II schools or whatever, they need to get a chance where they got to be realistic about their ability. They've got to trust their high school coach, because I've never met a high school coach that didn't want their kids, to have a chance to play at the next level. It's just sometimes they're honest with the kids, and the kids don't want to hear what the high school coach is telling them. So that's just the way it is. But they just got to make sure that they're realistic about their ability, and then they go somewhere and they just do the very best they can at their camp, and they stay persistent about what they're going to do. Because, you watch the NFL draft on Friday, I think it was last night, there was a kid from South Dakota drafted that's from a town of 1,200 people. He had to drive 60 miles just to go to a McDonald's, and they found him. And there was a kid at Boise State that played 8-man football that was a first-round draft pick. He was found. If you can play, we're going to find you. So the main thing to do is take care of your business in the classroom. Then when you get an opportunity to go to a camp, anybody's camp, go and lay down great work and put down good film during the season.
Well said. That's Dane Damron, head football coach at UVA-Wise, getting ready for season number 3 at the helm. Go to UVA-Wise They got some prospect camps coming all across Virginia. May the 6th in Richmond, Monday, May the 7th right here in the 757 at Norfolk Christian at 5 o'clock, Wednesday, May the 9th in Stafford, and Thursday, May the 10th in Roanoke Valley. Coach, look forward to meeting you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you all very much for having me.
You got
Good
it.
luck to you, Coach.
Thank you.
That is Dane Damron, head football coach at UVA-Wise. Let's hear on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Cost is just $30, and it's pretty neat that they're coming here, which is 7 hours. That is a long trip. But you know what, Ed? There's so many Division II level football players in our area. It's not even funny. You hear about all the big names we talk about on this show, but there's a lot of them. We mentioned the names from here: Marquise Bramer, Darius Jones, Joe Addison, Micah Brown, who was a really good lineman from Churchland who was getting some FBS, FCS looks. So sometimes it doesn't always work out for you at that level, and you can still be productive and make an impact at D2 route.
I've been saying it, probably say it till I fall over dead.
Well, don't do it today. I need to today.
You want to play the next level. That's the key. We all want Division I, full rides, we're the best and all that. But those are rare. Now, of course, football has numbers, so you got a better chance today than basketball or some other individual sport. But there are, like Coach said, so many opportunities, Division II, III, NAI, JUCO, that kids just don't understand it. Some high school coaches just don't understand it. That, you got to have your grades, you got to get your character, and that one big common denominator, you got to have ability that coaches like. He said that if a guy has some ability, and he kind of almost, without saying it, that's the first thing they look for. Does he have ability to play in our program? Okay, immediately now we got to check his character, his grades. They go hand in hand. But if he has no ability, you could be a 4.0 saint. You're not going to play because you don't have the ability to play at that level. You heard Coach say himself he wanted to play. Kentucky wasn't good enough, all right? But he had a great career at Georgetown, won national championship and all that too.